Welcome to this episode of A Facilitator's Journey. Today I am joined by Chad Littlefield. He is an American, he's a facilitator, he is a keynote speaker, he is known for his We Connect cards. He is all about creating connection before content. He is, as he said in his LinkedIn profile, a really lovely phrase, I exist on the planet to gently eradicate small talk. Join us for a very honest conversation about business, the different characters in the world of facilitation, and also to hear a very exciting announcement about who his keynote speaker is at the Connect conference that's happening in December. You are not going to want to miss that announcement. So you know what to do, team. Get a drink and come join me on the pink seat. See you shortly. Hey, Chad, welcome.
Hi, Kirsty. Nice to see you.
We're both giggling. True transparency here on the podcast. We're both giggling. We've just talked for half an hour about what we're going to talk about. So I think we're both like, this feels really weird to suddenly say hello again. Chad, welcome to A Facilitator's Journey. The first question I ask everybody before I ask them what they do is, how do we know each other?
Kirsty showed up in my inbox. Mark Collard said, you should totally meet this person. She runs the School of Facilitation, and you're two peas in the pod, and maybe you should be on a pod together.
Yeah. And that was only 6 weeks ago. And so the reason I wanted to chat with Chad is I know, the little I know about him, he has these very cool cards called We Connect cards. I feel like I want to do the exclamation mark. We Connect cards. And has a very generous YouTube channel where he talks about facilitation and skills and how to create connection before content, which for many of you listening will know that that's something I'm very passionate about. So, but today we're going to talk about our businesses, Chad, and what we do and how we do it. So
yeah, which is fun because I usually don't do this, right? I'm usually teaching facilitation. This is, I think, one of the reasons your podcast is so lovely is like really what you want to know when you see somebody on YouTube is like,
how do you do that?
Just how do you do that? And I'm going to be even more blunt than that. Like, how do you do that? How much are you making? Is that working? How's your business structured? And like, these are the questions that you ask.
They are the questions.
Yeah, I do not share this super widely or openly, but I told you before, like open book, ask me anything. I'm super excited to share and hope that it's really useful to others. So.
I think it's everybody's story is useful. So let's just start with a bit of Chad 101. What is the name of your business?
We and Me.
We and Me? We and B?
Yes. We and Me. M-E.
We and Me. We and Me.
We and the URL is weand.me.
And what is We and Me known for?
So I would say now it's like, what did I think I was going to be known for 12 years ago when I started the company? It's maybe different than like YouTube has probably made things more widely known because there's lots of millions of views across the channel now. But like when people think about connection before content, even though I initially learned that phrase from Peter Block, Peter Block's become a mentor of mine. I'd like to think that I've taken what he shared around connection before content and extended it and elaborated it and breathed lots of life. In fact, I even emailed him years ago and said, hey, I love the phrase connection before content. You're 84. I'm not. I'd love to have this idea live on and grow legs for many, many, many more decades. Can we have lunch and meet and chat? So Peter Block like wrote Flawless Consulting. He's this godfather of organizational development and whatnot. And so we've become friends since then. But that probably connection before content, extending that, eradicating the word icebreaker, and then the cards
I'm really sorry. This is a man after my own heart. I'm going hot. Icebreakers and energizers make me actually feel slightly nauseous because I'm like, no one wants to sit in the circle of doom and the creep of death as they try and think of something funny to share.
So here, try not to throw up again when I share this sentence. Hey, everybody, before we get started, let's do an icebreaker.
Let's do a check-in.
Like, before we get started, we're like actively starting right now. Like we've already started. It's begun. It's like, and so for Connect, I think the biggest distinguishing factor for me which is what I feel like I learned from Peter is I've attached and distinguished connection before content versus icebreaker, but just like delete the word icebreaker. And for me, connection before content is it must connect to the purpose of why you're actually there. And
God, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, we'll get back to business in a minute, team. But I just need to. I've never found someone so mutually in agreement with me about this. And it's when a client says, "Can you do an icebreaker?" and I just go, "No," but I will create an activity that has purpose and meaning, and will bring the group together and get them talking, thinking, but not in a way that it embarrasses them, shames them, and mentally breaks them before we've even got started.
And in that language, I heard you just say, I'm also going to do something that will uncross people's arms and prevent eye rolls. Whereas if I do just what you tell me, if I do just an icebreaker, although I will say, like, I don't have clients anymore ask me, will you do an icebreaker? Which is maybe, so when emails that flow through my inbox and they're like, oh, I just discovered you binge watched 30 videos on YouTube. Love the idea of connection before content. I'm using blah, 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 blah. It is a huge insight to just say to oneself as a facilitator, like every time you ask someone to do something, ask a group to do something that they can't really evidently see the intention or purpose, or you haven't made that salient, you're just building little bits of resistance so that when you ask, eventually you'll run out of politeness and capital, and they'll like their arms will be fully crossed and they'll refuse. And so you're slowly like going from resistance to refusal, as opposed to just meeting them exactly where they're at and be like, hey, I don't really like to do stuff just because. So everything I do today, I have planned with lots of intent and purpose so that it leads us at the end of the day smarter, a bit more connected, and also maybe 30% further along in this problem that's really annoying everybody right now.
I love that.
Yeah.
So you talked about YouTube there. You've talked about clients. So what is this? Like, what is the structure of your business? How would you describe what you do? Maybe now.
Yeah. So this is, YouTube was an accident and a result of having a lot of extra time in 2020. So for the 10 years prior to 2020, all of my business was organized around private engagements. It was like X company had X leadership summit, and nobody could go to that. And I was very busy with that. I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, and the month or the couple months before Otto was born, I think I was on 22 flights that month. And so I was like really humming along with private work for a long time. And then COVID happened. And when you have the job, like everybody listening, of gathering large groups of people in small confined spaces, everything shifts. And so I had all this extra time, but I was still really passionate about gathering. And so I met this guy named Nate Woodbury, who runs a YouTube production studio. And basically he has this very, very, like the most compelling marketing strategy that I've ever found. And it very much in the vein of generosity marketing. And it's like, just answer. People have questions. YouTube is the second largest search engine, owned by the largest search engine, Google.
Oh, wow.
So people go to YouTube to find out how to fix their toilet and how to a whole bunch of other stuff. And so his strategy is, and you can, there are services. One is called SEM Rush, where you can go on and type keywords around your expertise and stuff you know about, and it'll pop out like what people on planet Earth are actually searching in YouTube for, and you can kind of get the question version of that keyword. And so the title of 95% of the videos on my YouTube channel are verbatim questions that somebody has typed into YouTube, but they're not questions that like the masses are typing in. There's not like 40,000 people a month searching for what's a no prep icebreaker that doesn't suck. But there are 40 people a month. And so when I record a video on that, every month, 40 or so people watch that video and they're like, wait, I just searched for that. Like, this fit is just amazing.
Yeah.
And so in 2020, in like the first year, I worked with Nate and I published daily intentionally long form YouTube videos for a full year. So I released 200 plus episodes in 1 year of like 5 to 12 minute videos, just teaching the most useful, practical, possible content in response to that question. Now, most of those were like search inquiries, but some of them were also like somebody would email me a question and I would go record a video, upload it to YouTube, and then send them the link back instead of anything else. Cause I'm like, this idea of think once and deliver often is like, I don't want to spend 20 of my minutes like giving you an answer and then it's hidden to the rest of the planet. And then the next person that asked me, I got to spend another 20 minutes. And so, so now there's like 600 plus videos, which I did a word count is the equivalent now of like, it's coming close to about 1 million words on YouTube, which is like 12 nonfiction books worth of stuff on YouTube. So for me, my preferred form of authoring is video because it's also my preferred form of learning and consumption too. So I kind of like teaching in the way that I like to.
You've got me thinking, because people keep going to me, you're going to write a book, you're going to write a book. But I really like making videos because I find it very easy just to talk to camera and just spout. And I've never really, we have a YouTube channel. Has it got much on it? Nah, it's got some shorts. It's got some of our old community events where we have speakers come and talk. So we just share that. But is there any like Kirsty direct camera? You've inspired, you've already given me a little gem.
Can I give you a way bigger gem? So we're recording this podcast right now, and you're asking me questions related to the business of facilitation, how you run a business, whatnot. If you went to SEMrush and plugged in the stuff you like to ask about, the stuff you like to talk to guests about, you'll get a whole bunch of search keywords of how do you structure a business, how do you structure a facility. You'll get all these search terms. And so if you were to just take this podcast and start asking 2 to 3 of those long tail like search keyword questions in each podcast, you could hand this off to an editor and you wouldn't have to record other YouTube, but you just like publish the 5 to 10 minute segment where you ask somebody this question. That is the answer. You publish the video with like that title to YouTube. And that's it.
Oh, well, we've got all of this recorded. Duh.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, dear.
So you've asked me like, if there's a search keyword and you find it on semrush.com that says how to structure a business, you take this clip and you can use some human creativity, right? So it's like, how does Chad Littlefield structure his business or something like that? Then becomes the title of a video. And you're not doing any extra work whatsoever, but you're just making the value that you're already creating in this podcast and just making it easily searched by people who are looking for answers that you're talking about, but are not finding your podcast because podcasts are not a search engine.
No.
Right. It's like a relationship somebody has, they find your podcast, they love listening to it, they get value from it, and which is immensely valuable, but it's not always the best like wide discovery tool.
Thank you. God, look at him. He's off already. So you have, so how is your business structured then? Are you still doing a lot of corporate work, professional work?
So it started, go back to the beginning, and it was 80 to 90% corporate organizational. I worked with a lot of universities. I kind of went through phases of like lots of university work this year and lots of corporate work this year, and lots of, that 80-20 or so, and 20% was product sales. So the We Connect cards, which I created one of just to use with a group that I was leading 10ish years ago, has turned into like quite a lot of like 500 or so decks a month sell just on Amazon, never mind our website. And so that's like, and now I've written a couple of books called Ask Powerful Questions and How to Make Virtual Engagement Easy. And those, so like now the product revenue is closer to like 50-50 or so, or 60-40, like 40% of revenue. And I'm part of the way that I'm decreasing corporate work and decreasing private engagement work is I've kind of outpriced myself for most stuff now. And so 19 out of 20 inbound requests that come in, like the budget doesn't work out. And so I direct them toward DIY or cheap responses, or refer them to awesome people who are still like very much building their practice on the corporate train. And I've shifted it all to hosting my own stuff. So once a year, I host this Connectors Summit, this gathering for the smartest, coolest leaders, educators, facility professional gatherers. And then once or maybe twice a year, I run this masterclass in what I call the contribution method, which is just like I used to, when I was on the plane to go work with a client, just a notorious procrastinator. And the prep anxiety of going to a gig was so high that it was just very unpleasant and not sustainable. And so I just by survival necessity had to figure out some way to make this easier. And so over the course of many years, like the way I design a workshop now, I just write on a blank piece of paper, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And these are for me 5 locations for contribution, where the audience is going to be doing most of the work, and I'm not going to be doing the heavy lifting. And so it's like the ingredient number 1 is what Mark Collard would call an unofficial start.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is a context hook, so on and so forth. So anyway, I teach this method to folks, which is pretty aha inducing for many folks to realize, like, yeah, this is, because for me, going back to the business side of marketing, your delivery is by far your best form of marketing. There is no better way of marketing. You could post 1,000 videos to YouTube, but then if you show up and you kind of do an okay job,
can't do it,
no one's going to call you back. Yeah.
Correct.
Whereas, I was kind of over the course of time built a practice where every single gig was turning into about 2 other opportunities. And I think that's the cadence that ideally we should strive for. If you're not getting that, I think you have room to grow in your delivery.
Yeah.
Like you should. So anyway, to make a long story longer, I teach that twice a year. So now, yeah, Connector Summit, and I teach this twice a year, and I share tons of stuff for free on YouTube, and work managing my brother works with me full time managing all the physical product side of stuff.
Cool.
So that is the structure.
And let's just so people know, the summit, the Connector Summit, when is that? Where is that? How do people find out about it?
Yeah, so I kind of do these, and this is probably interesting to unpack too, but depending on when you're listening to this, like I'll have a very tight launch period. Will there be a launch offer that will include a new deck of cards that I've got and all this other stuff, and then regular registration will be open until November 1st. And the summit's
2025, we're just talking here.
Yeah.
2025.
Podcasts live on the internet forever. And the summit happens December 10th to the 12th. And I really intentionally chose those dates because it was like looking back on my calendar for 10 years. That week was almost always not filled with client work. And so it was a perfect time to like come fill your bucket with really good human beings.
Is the 12th a Friday?
It is a Friday.
So
I did this on purpose.
SOF people in the UK, that is the Christmas gathering date, remember? So when I started
there might not be a conflict because the Friday is like, it's just a closing session in the morning, Eastern time, and then it's done.
There might be, because what it is it's an in-person Christmas party, basically. Because I've got this image in my head of all these solo facilitator trainers around the UK and in Europe. We've had people come from Europe sitting there with their end of year, their glass of bubbles or drink of choice, a party hat on, and whatever one of those blowy out things going, yay me, I'm amazing. So from the beginning of SOF 10 years ago, I've hosted a Christmas lunch, and it's now turned into this full day. So we come in the morning, it's a reflection point, it's visioning boards, and then it's a big Christmas lunch that rolls on to about 6 p.m.
This is absolutely amazing.
So that's the 12th people.
Don't come to the Connector Summit.
Yeah, but you can come to the Connect Summit there as well. Like that's happening.
You'll miss the closing session of the Connector Summit.
Oh, poo.
Maybe we should create like a code for SOF people, and then you can debrief, like part of the, you can blow the thing, and you can have like a debrief session of the summit. That'd be cool.
Oh my God, yeah.
Okay.
Well, we'll talk about that later. Look at the two extrovert brains thinking, going, what if? ...
So, okay.
But
can we have, this would be a very interesting conversation to have super openly with everyone. So I'm having a major aha this year. And this relates to actually being solo and on your own, and even the narrative and the story of like, I'm a solopreneur, and there's this, like, I work alone, I don't have a team. And in fact, most of us strive to not have teams too. I don't actually want to manage 20 people. I don't want 20 people's payroll on my mind when I'm falling asleep at night.
That's a really good point. Yes, it is.
And this is the entire pitch of Matt Church's book, Thought Leaders Practice, is like, it's not bad to run and grow and scale a business, but you just don't have to do that. And so the book is the only one that I've ever found that's like a really good kind of behind the scenes of running a 1 person with 1 to 2 support staff only, building to a 7-figure practice.
Wow.
And so, but this narrative is shifting for me. So as I'm moving from like 90+% private work in the last 10 years and shifting to the vast majority, like hosting these public offerings a few times a year, my mindset is shifting and opening to partnering with folks in different ways. And I've done this a couple times already. And so one of the things I'm super psyched about this Connector Summit, if you're familiar with Priya Parker, she wrote The Art of Gathering. So,
we are very aware of Priya Parker.
Well, she will very much be coming to the Connector Summit, and her and I will be kicking off with a conversational keynote as the opening of the summit this year.
Oh my God! I have signed up. I've signed up to get on the wait list. So
that's super exciting. I'm super excited to have her. But that, like, in terms of these partnerships with folks, and so one of the things I'm doing with the summit this year is folks that are running amazing programs like School of Facilitation, or Mark Collard is going to be leading a little session on unofficial starts. And so I'm just giving him a partnership code of like anybody who registers through Mark's link, like an affiliate concept, just gets half of the ticket price to the summit, which is $1,000. And so every person that registers, you get $500. And so I have not really ever done that before, because in my mind, I was like so stuck in the solopreneur story that I was just like doing everything myself. But then I realized, like, no, like Mark's probably going to make $10,000 to $30,000 with the link or code that I'm going to give him, and just sharing with the folks that are on the Playmeo list who may already be going to the summit anyway. Okay.
Interesting. And I think I like that idea. And I think that often we don't do that because it's fear. It's the mindset piece. Like, why we don't, even you just saying that, I'm like, why don't I do that? Why do I not give people, it's the back office bit of the affiliate link and then going. Yeah. And the question is, are you discerning with who you partner with?
1,000%. Yeah, I'm not just gonna I'm not farming out this link. And so this is me transparently having this conversation. Once we hit or stop record, we can actually have a chat of like, if this is even interesting, if it makes sense to you.
Yes.
But you know, it's absolutely going to be.
It's got to be the right people who are going to bring in the right audience, who've got people who want to do that.
Because part of this is positioning. So I recently, I'm not going to name any names at all here, but I recently partnered with somebody, and it was like this absurdly profitable partnership. However, literally after, so we led this like big free training that we led everybody to, and made an offer, an invite for people to join this contribution method masterclass that I'm going to be teaching in September. So 2,500 people show up to this free training. 150 people sign up for this thing that costs about $2,000, which is like insane for me. Like moving from private to public, I'm like, whoa. So super profitable. A lot of people like it. There will be immense impact made when I teach 150 people this like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 easy. However, I also got literally 150 to 200 emails in my inbox afterward of people saying, like, complaining about the style of the webinar and who I partnered with. And there was a lot of like, there's some.
So we're going to talk about this
anymore.
We're going to talk about this off air, because I have a very strong sense who we're talking about here. Yeah. And for those of you in the world of facilitation, you may too, and I will always have that conversation off air.
And
I'm really sorry.
I want to have this on air.
Go.
Having spent a bunch of time with them in person, they're beautiful human beings, and they have immense gifts to the world. And they actually, it just so happens they're running a facilitation business, but they're really, really good at sales and marketing.
Yeah.
And I think what is useful about this, and this is an important thing to consider in partnership, is I'm really good at facilitation and all of that stuff. I'm not actually super, super good at the sales and marketing. I've like learned that by necessity.
Yeah.
And so in here is a perfect Venn diagram partnership of like, and in fact, we had this conversation of like, we love, like, Chad, you're blowing our mind with the stuff that you're sharing around facilitation. Like, I want you to train our whole team, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's really elevating their facilitation and their style and ethos and all of that. And I'm learning a whole bunch about how to launch and market things, because here's the problem. Like, the way that they launch things is way more direct and maybe salesy than any facilitator I've ever met is comfortable with. But here's the problem. You've got this awesome offering, but when we bring these offerings to the world and we're like, hey, do you want this?
We are very like, hey. Sorry.
Yeah. No, go.
I was talking, have you come across Leanne Hughes in Australia? You need to know Leanne. So
I said Guillaume.
No,
I still don't know
Liam. Guillaume was my ex-French boyfriend, but that's another story. Leanne Hughes created how I found her first-time facilitator back in about 2018, and we've become friends ever since. And I met her up with her for the first time when I was in Brisbane. We went for a 4-hour hike, as only two nutty, sporty people would go, yeah, we can do that, which we can. Anyway, one of the things we talked about is, why is it as facilitation trainers we have this financial scarcity mindset and everything has to be free? Why do we give away so much content or ideas? And to your point, because there's a lot of communities, because I'd love to do more of that, like masterminding, but a lot of the facilitator trainer community are like, well, why should I have to pay for that? Why should I have to pay for a meetup? Why should I have to pay for some learning when other federations in the IAF do everything for free, except you just pay for the certification?
Sure.
And it's just like, but we need to make money, people. It's okay to earn some pennies. So Leanne proactively calls herself a consultant now.
Interesting. So I'm going to offer a little different take on that, which is actually, I think, and I do release all information for free. In my mind, we live in an age where actually information is not the thing that is behind a paywall. It is the what I charge for is the implementation of that information. Like, information's super cheap.
Yeah.
And so information is the welcome mat. If you go to YouTube, you can find on your own me teaching a ton of super hyper practical stuff related to the contribution method. In fact, you can probably get most of the content of the contribution method. You like piece it together. And I am so okay with people doing that. In fact, I was when I was on this leading this free training with 2,500 people, it was like 2,500 people, and comments are like going insane with all sorts of opinions, and some of them like the beginnings of the emails that I got afterward. But one person was like, "You can get all of this stuff for free on Chad's YouTube channel," and I was like, "Yes, you can." And as facilitator,
so why have you not done it?
The nuance that I want to offer, the nuance that I want to offer for people is that actually what you're sharing with the world, your gift, you're just offering that to people in different formats, and they have different price points. So the format of an 8-minute YouTube video, which you can watch and then implement an idea from, is free in my business.
Yeah.
The experience of coming for 2.5 days and meeting a bunch of people that you otherwise wouldn't, and having conversations you otherwise wouldn't, and feeling the live energy of being together, that is valued way more than free. So it's $1,000 bucks. And I don't feel even remotely cheap. And for me, the generosity marketing of literally all your information. Like when I teach on YouTube, I think the reason the YouTube channel has done well in the like niche of facilitation is I don't hold back. I just like teach everything. I'm not like, and if you want to get the real, like the fourth secret, go download. No, it's just like, here is literally everything, the most useful stuff that I know. In fact, if you're going to publish content, like how annoying to hold back anything, like give it all away for free. It'll only make people more interested in having you partnering with you to help them implement or do the thing.
I really like a phrase you just used there, generosity marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe the scarcity mindset piece was, though, even facilitators pricing themselves into a corporate and feeling proud and comfortable to say, this is my value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so sometimes people do like shrink themselves because they want the work. And we did a pricing survey in 2023, and it was just fascinating seeing the range of what people will position themselves in at from a value point of view.
Yeah, and I listened to your episode on pricing. Who did that episode?
Laura
what was her
Payne.
name? Laura. Yeah. So it was a lovely episode, and in that you got into values-based pricing, which I think facilitate, and like getting out of the mindset of day rate, and like if you go in and if all you do is build relationships with people for 3 hours because they requested a team building session, if that results in one person choosing to not quit the company that week and stick around because they had like a very healing, helpful conversation with the person that they hated on the team, like that's worth somewhere to the tune of $70,000 to $90,000 in like training, hiring, rehire. And so like whatever your day rate is, it's going to probably be less than $90,000. And so anyway, values-based pricing for sure. But I also think this happened. Every single independent facilitator I've ever talked to, including myself, right around December and January, accepts a bunch of super discounted work because their calendars look and feel empty, and they go, scarcity rises up.
Yeah.
And so we say, oh, my normal rate is $20K a day, but I'll do this for $5 because I love what you're up to and I love your mission and yada, yada, yada. And I think being aware of even just the timing of when you feel compelled to just offer discounts, so to speak. I'm mentoring. I kind of take on one person to mentor really deeply. Carrie Price.
I know. I spoke to her. I meant to say this to you. She sends her love. I spoke to her 2 days ago.
Good. Carrie Price is really a gift to the planet, and I'm excited in our mentoring. I'm like, you're more awesome than your positioning lets off, and so we're working on that together. Good. And she's already awesome, and I typically try to work with only people who are like operating at a pretty high level, and she's operating at a very high level. Why am I mentioning Carrie? I don't know.
Awesomeness, pricing, sharing, generous, all words I'd associate with Kerry. It'll come back. If people don't know who Kerry is,
all those things. Yeah.
Kerry Price, Kerry with an I, go find her on LinkedIn. She's very good at sharing around facilitation techniques and tools. And if you happen to be in New Zealand or Australia listening to this, she has an amazing community called the Facilitator Network. And that's why I was in New Zealand, because I presented at her festival. Well, I ran a workshop, I should say. No presenting here. Yeah. On pricing. On pricing. I did a workshop on pricing.
Yeah. You literally did.
Yeah.
I thought this was a segue back to where we were talking about.
I actually did a workshop on pricing for Kerry.
Okay. So practicing giving super valuable stuff away for free for everybody that wasn't there. What was, in your humble opinion, what was one of the most useful things that you shared in that workshop?
Talk about pricing. Because we, as the Westerners, maybe not the Americans, but definitely in the UK, and we discovered in New Zealand and Australia, everyone doesn't really want to talk about pricing because they don't want to talk about money. And therefore, we don't know, especially if you're new to world, well, what do I charge? And you've got to just find a nice person who's going to talk to you. So I'm up for having these very open conversations about this is what it costs. So when I launched SoFest last year, the festival, 3-day festival, I made weekly videos saying, right, this is what's happening. This is where we're at in the journey. This is how much it's costing me. I shared openly the budget, the pricing, the costs. quite a few people were quite shocked. I also told them I lost money. There were a lot of commercial friends going, oh, that's ridiculous, you shouldn't do that. So my point is having conversations about money, because Kerry then said to me in our conversation on Tuesday, I don't know what you did in that workshop, but it's worked amazingly, because in the past, in my community, someone would put up a question about pricing a piece of work, and they'd get one or two responses, she said, or they'd come direct to me. Now everybody is just sharing, and there's just an openness that's happened.
This is the one of the, it's like a second order, it's like the known but unspoken need of why, like the value of joining a thing like the SOF community or Facilitators Network, or for me, it was Thought Leaders Business School. I was shocked when I showed up at that time. Were having in-person immersions in Australia. So I flew to Melbourne and I walked in and everybody had a lanyard with their kind of organized fees and belts in $120,000 increments. So white belt is 120,000, black belt is 720. You walk in, there's 150 people in the room and a lanyard with their belt color. So can you imagine walking to a conference and your salary is right under your name on your name tag? And
I love it.
It was amazing.
Scary.
The way that they rolled it out, it was not scary, because what it was is like when a white belt comes up to me, somebody who's making $120,000 a year, and they're like all excited and they have this idea for an online course and they want to build it and launch it. I just, with so much love and compassion in the world, say, stop, just don't do that at all. No one will buy it. You don't have anybody on your list. Nobody cares about the online course. Nobody's going to buy it. When you're at black belt and you have accrued, 5 to 50,000 people, then you can create something and launch it to them. But when you're at white belt, just save yourself the effort, because you'll lose money trying to publish an online course. Yeah. And so what it allows you to do when you know both rates and what your practice is doing in general, it allows you to give much more useful, specific advice.
I love that. Oh my God. Maybe we do that at SoFest next year. You might have to come. Because I tell you what, that's a really interesting point. So I've had SoFest as an idea since pre-COVID. 2019, I remember talking about it to some of the facilitators, and everyone was like, so the concept is 3 days, 2 nights, under canvas, outside, in nature. There are no stuffy conference walls, mix of speakers, workshops. It's all about you growing, developing yourself. Unsurprisingly, client, learner, you, and business. All of those elements are always covered. So you get a real holistic element of growth for you as someone who's running their own business as a facilitator. And you get all this amazing community. I wanted to do it in 2019, and just something stopped me. I didn't even start. I remember having a conversation on Zoom, but I didn't do anything about it. COVID came. The community really kicked off. So I did a 20 weeks back to back online every week for 20 weeks on a Friday for an hour, like bringing community together up to. Yep. It was quite cool. So then afterwards, I was like, right, should we do it? And people were like, yeah. But then because everything was on, off, you could bring people together. You couldn't bring people together. But I look back now and realize it wasn't the right time in either of those points, because I didn't have enough of a groundswell of the community. And I didn't have enough of a foundation of people knowing and recognizing School of Facilitation as an identity and a brand, which I have now in the UK. And I think, if I'm really honest, that happened about 2 years ago. I was at something called Happy Startup Summer Camp, which is the most amazing.
I'm familiar with it.
With Carlos Sabo and Lawrence Bracahill. And I went there for the first time, shared a tent with these 2 other women. And on the last day, we finally went, oh, what do you do? What do you do? So we're sharing around, and there was another trainer facilitator in the room. And I said, oh, I've got a business called School of Facilitation. And this woman, I kid you not, just looked at me and went, oh yeah, I get your newsletter. You've got a really cool logo with a funky, don't you? And so Chad, I used to work at Guinness. So I'm from a very strong brand background.
Yeah.
All my Christmases came at once, because I was like, the brand.
It lives.
The logo was recognized. But that was really important. So that was like probably a trigger point for me. So to your point about having a lanyard, having your turn, was it turnover? Or was it just like what you earn?
It was gross. Yeah, like what you grossed in the business that year.
So I think that is a really insightful. Yeah, I'm running a gathering in 3 weeks' time. I might get people to do that.
There you go. I think the intentionality, because in order to do that, you have to say, hey, everybody, transparently tell me what you made last year and put it in this form so that I can print your badges. And so in the communication of that, right, is the reason we're doing this is not to create a hierarchy of cool people and not cool people, newbies and right, failures and not failure. The reason we're doing this is to have more focused, targeted, open conversations around money, because this is the only place you can do that. My neighbor one time, when I lived in Pittsburgh, my neighbor asked me, she was like working for a company and she, vaguely knew what I did. And she's like, oh, like, how much do you charge to come in for a group? And there was like kids running around, dogs barking. It was like all this chaos. We were on the street in the neighborhood. And I said a number and she heard it without a zero and still balked at it. It was like, whoa. And I was like, oh yeah. And I did not correct her. I was like, yeah, we'll just leave it at that. And that's it. Like, we don't have conversations about pricing with neighbors who have like, full-time jobs, make a salary, and you can spend your entire year trying to be a little bit better in performance and maybe get a raise of $5K for the year. Whereas in facilitation, it's like call 10 people and you can make 10K really quickly.
So someone said something to me, like as a rule of thumb when pricing into corporates is and you're not always going to know this, but have in your head, what is the decision maker or the person you're talking to? What is their salary? And depending on project size, because if clients have budget and they know it's a big deal, like a summit, or you're emceeing for something, or it's a long form program that's over 6 months, they know we're talking 6 figures or very high 5 figures. This is pounds, so it'll be 6 figures for you. But if it's some smaller pieces of work, it's often like, don't price higher than their salary. Because they sometimes can't get their head around, but why are we paying you all that when I only get paid that and you're only coming in for 10 days of work? Sorry, I'm doing speech marks over my head. 10 days, because it's not 10 fucking days. It's my insurance, it's my pension, it's my holiday time, it's potentially, I keep losing my voice time. That sort of stuff. I don't know what your thoughts are.
And there are, so like, last I checked, the kind of the celebrity thought leadery people in this loose space of like take a Simon Sinek or a Brene Brown, right? Their in-person keynote's going to be around $250,000 or $300,000 US. To get them to show up for a Zoom call for an hour is going to be $100,000 or more. Wow. So my question is, how, like, they're charging much more than salary, and they're like, their calendars are as full as they want them to be. So looking at that spot, what I want to offer slightly different than don't price higher than someone's salary, because this is putting a limit on the value that you can offer is, and I've noticed this, and this does not, you can't just do this out of the gate. But I think all people running facilitation practices should aspire to being positioned in a way that you're not being compared to a salary because you're like, oh my goodness, we got them to come in.
Yeah.
Right. So my keynote fee is $40,000 US. Now, most people don't have the budget for that. And the people that, when I go and do a keynote somewhere, I'm not getting people who are hiring me for that rate. Nobody's saying, oh my gosh, that's half my salary. Nobody's saying that, because the positioning of everything is very, very different. When I'm bringing this person in, like, I'm going to be standing on a stage with an hour of 1,000 of your closest friends. You better hope that I make you look good.
Yeah. But I think that's different though. Keynoting, we know, is a different set of, and that has got a totally different budget to it. The learning projects that many facilitation trainers are working on.
Yeah.
They come, so like yesterday I had a conversation with a potential client, and when I asked what their budget was, it is so small. And I was like, and you do know it's normally, that's a day, you've got 90 odd people you want to train. They're like, oh no, we know that. But it's like, that's a very small number that you've just mentioned there. Yeah. I find it really, like, and I said that
going to work out.
I was just said, well, just to be really honest, if you want 2 facilitators, you need to double that. And they're like, yeah, okay. We know we'd have to do that. And we would honor that. But I don't know.
Yeah.
And this goes back to our beginning conversation for 2 points. One, positioning, and two, the state of the world right now. And I don't know what's happening in America, but in UK and Europe, there is this felt sense of contraction in terms of businesses going into reorgs, layoffs. They're cutting, like using externals in the space that I probably inhabit, versus maybe not the keynote, because they might still want to have their big launches and their yearly conference. So
I wonder how how do we gauge that truth? So that that
nice
the contraction,
question.
because realistically the way that
that
I normally hear that truth being gauged is I had 3 conversations in the last month with clients who had their budget pulled. And so now and I've done this before, like in the US, where like, okay, I had 3 clients and they couldn't afford this fee. So now I should lower fee. But they were 3 out of maybe 900 potential decision makers in that one tiny niche of this area of universities that are working with people. And so I'm not going to be super quick to head nod to that story, because I think it's
I like that though.
in conversations like this that sometimes the story can propagate.
Yeah, it does.
And that said, there are absolutely there's also truth to the story, and the world is really loaded with uncertainty right now, and there are lots of I do think that there's a lot of change happening related to all the AI and tech related stuff, and there's just and politics. So there are macroeconomic things, but every time I hear and a mentoring or having a chat with somebody who's running a practice and they're making decisions based off of macroeconomic things, I just want to run over to them, shake the shoulders, and be like, stop, full stop.
Thank you. No, I'm listening.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. Now, listen, you and I, it's now become very apparent on first chatting that we could go on for a lot longer than we actually have. I also want to just save some time off air to have a chat with you, bluntly. So I'd like to ask you the quick fire questions, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, go for it. And maybe I'll just tease people with this.
Go on.
We'll see what we chat about off air, but maybe we record what's off air and release it as the bonus episode of stuff that maybe we shouldn't say online, but we might say online. Maybe we'll cut that part out,
we'll talk about.
We'll
okay.
Because I'm pretty
4 questions. I'm loving this.
Okay.
You know what I'm going to ask. What advice?
Yeah. Maybe that's off air. Yeah,
that's off air. What advice would you give to someone starting out? They're starting. They whatever reason they've taken redundancy. They're like, I want to be a leadership trainer. I want to be in the world of facilitation.
This phrase is absolutely snatched up directly from Matt Church. Action precedes clarity. Do not sit in a basement or on your laptop at a cute coffee shop with a beautifully warm latte for 3 hours building your business. Text someone, call them, email them. And when people launch a project, when I say launch a project, step 1 is create a list of 10 people who might buy the thing that you're selling, and immediately call them or text them or email them before you build any landing page or create a website or file an LLC or a company. Immediately call them to see, ask the title of Jerry Seinfeld's book, Is This Anything? It's like that. So if you're just starting, take 10 people and test it. Is this anything? Because if you ask 3 facilitator friends, is this anything? They're not your client. They will give you bad advice and bad information. You need to call. So for me, what pushed me past the 7-figure mark was launching I realize this is not lightning round. I'll make it lightninger.
I'm trying, people. I'm trying.
Rein it in. It was you need a stop sign to facilitate. Okay. What pushed me past this 7-figure mark was calling somebody who I had met at a conference who ran student orientation for a university. And I had thought about offering a very specific facilitation kind of training offering for universities, specifically orientation groups. And I called up Ronnie and I said, hey, I'm thinking about offering this. Can I walk you through and just share what I am thinking about packaging up and the price and all of this? And can you just really transparently help me map this out and if you think it's awesome, then actually, I didn't even say this. I literally just wanted his advice on this. And I genuinely wasn't trying to turn him into a client. We mapped it out together in a half-hour call. At the end, he said, I'll take it for $16,500. And that was the first of many, many sales and a few years of working really closely in student orientation.
Amazing.
With folks in that like little niche. So yeah, just action precedes.
Action precedes what? Creation.
Clarity.
Okay, who do you follow in social media land that you think others should too?
So we said Priya Parker's coming to the summit. I do feel like I follow Priya Parker. However, the best advice I ever got when I was starting my practice was, and I'm saying this as someone with a newsletter that I hope people subscribe to, but I immediately unsubscribed and stopped following everyone and just started doing things and building things. I wouldn't have published 600 YouTube videos if I was watching everybody else's thinking, oh, they're so much further ahead than I am. I just started recording and publishing and teaching. And now it is a library. And so like, if you really want to go for it, consider unsubscribing the people that make you self-conscious.
We've not had that answer before. I like it. I might guess what you're going to answer now. What book do you recommend to people or podcast?
Actually, you might not get this one. My favorite book of all time is Made to Stick by Chip and Dan Heath. And it's about why do we remember some things and not others. And so it's like, why do you remember a Super Bowl commercial from 10 years ago and not the one that played right after it? It's a very American example. But and so it's like these 7 principles that as you're teaching, growing your practice, sharing content, like you should have the made to stick principles and ideas in mind. Otherwise they won't stick. So from a learning perspective, that. And then thought leaders practice. If on the business side of things,
if you haven't got that team, Matt Church. Yes. And here's a final question. How have you invested in yourself or your business to support you in moving forward?
I should create a spreadsheet of all the money that I have poured into. Yeah, it's a lot. So I recently, okay, let me think about the useful answer to this as opposed to sharing okay. One of the most surprising but useful large chunks of money that I spent was when my co-founder Will Wise passed away 3 years ago from cancer. We co-wrote Ask Powerful Questions together. There were weeks that I spent more time with him than I spent with my wife. And so that was intense and hard. And he was also a huge thinking partner to bounce ideas off of. And so when he was gone, I was really I really felt the solo inpreneur. And so I got connected or introduced to this guy named Mark Levy, whose claim to fame is he helped Simon Sinek find his why. So he met Simon Sinek when he was broke, desperate, and poor. And Mark's whole thing is helping people find their big, sexy ideas. So what's the thing that you share with a group of people that don't want to be there, have their arms crossed, already hate you before they met you? What is the idea that you share with them that's so compelling and interesting that even if they still hate you, they uncross their arms and they're like, okay, I'll hear what you have to say. This is pretty interesting. And so I hired Mark to help me push my own IP and thinking and uncover and dig up what this next big sexy idea is. And I've now baked it into the card deck that I'm going to be releasing in the fall. It's the sequel to We Connect Cards. It's really, based on this idea that the questions we ask are edit buttons to the future. And we quite literally have the ability as facilitators to help people talk their way into tomorrow, into a new, more compelling future. Yeah, so I'm not going to share his fees, but I spent Mark a whole bunch of money to have a bunch of random conversations for a year. But what came out of it was such a gift.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good example of investing in self and your business, because I think if you don't invest, or however that may be, whether it's the free watching YouTube, listening to podcasts, reading a book, all the way through to mentorship, masterminds. But I just have this really big belief that as facilitators and trainers or coaches or consultants, we need to keep growing and evolving ourselves, because we will only limit ourselves otherwise to the ceiling that we've operated at. So that's my thought.
And so there's also the YouTube stuff. I have not missed a post. So for a year, I published daily videos Monday through Friday. And since 2020, I've published weekly videos, long form videos that are well-produced, good content. Every single video I would happily share with somebody I love. Like I'm proud of what has been created there. I would have posted less than 10% of what is currently online because I pay quite a lot of money every year to Nate Woodbury and his team to like edit videos, publish them, get them out there. And so I know like I'm on the hook. Like each video has quite a cost to it, and it keeps me accountable. And so when you're a solopreneur, like literally just paying for a warm body to keep you accountable gets to be close to worth it. Ideally, you get a smart warm body that can also push.
Yeah, you need a smart warm body.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Chad, thank you so much for today's conversation. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm sure our listeners have too. We're going to put in the show notes like a link to your website, reference the books that you've talked about. Just remind people one more time, when is your summit happening?
The Connector Summit is happening December 10th to the 12th. And I don't know, maybe Kirsty and I are going to talk offline and have a SOF coupon code or something for you.
Yeah. But also, team, you've got to go and see Priya Parker and fangirl her.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm super, super excited. The format of that conversation, by the way, is going to be a half hour, her and I podcast style conversational keynote, and then a half hour of upvoted audience Q&A. So there'll also be a chance to come and ask Priya what you want to.
Love it. Well, there you had it, team. Thank you very much for being here today. I really appreciate it.
It was such a gift.
Oh, wow. What a conversation that was with Chad. Where do we start? Where do we start? So here are the things that I'm taking from this conversation. One, YouTube is the second largest search engine. That's blown my head up a little bit. So I don't know how that sits with ChatGPT. So we're going to check that out. And I love that recommendation. So if you are thinking about going into doing more visual sharing, check out smerush.com. We love that. I love his generosity marketing. So we're going to keep sharing. It makes me think I'm going to put even more out there. That I've just got loads of thinking around clients, learners, your business, and just keep sharing that through the emails and through my social media posts going forward. I love his language of the known unspoken need. And then don't forget, the Connector Summit is happening on the 10th to the 12th of December virtually. So we can all join here if you are in Europe listening to this or any other part of the world. And let's just remember, Priya Parker is going to be on there. So if you want to fangirl, fanboy her, you can. So as ever, thank you so much for listening to this podcast today. If you liked it, please give us a little thumbs up, a star, a tick, write us a comment, and feel free to share with other people so that they can listen to this awesome conversation that I've just had with Chad Littlefield. Go well, team.